A global outcry has erupted over the death of poet, academic, and activist Refaat Alareer at the hands of the Israeli government. Now, Refaat was not only a beloved intellectual in Gaza, he was a window to Americans and to the English-speaking world into the Palestinian struggle, regularly giving interviews, posting updates that allowed us all to see the reality of life inside of Gaza, forcing us to reckon with the pain, the peril, the hopes, the dreams, and the nightmares of the Palestinian people.
We know that it's very bleak, it's very dark. There's no way out. If there's no water, there is no way out of Gaza. What should we do? Like drown? Like commit mass suicide? Is this what Israel wants? And we're not going to do that. And I was telling some friend the other day that I'm an academic. Probably the toughest thing I have at home is an expo marker. But if the Israelis invade, if they target us, charge at us, open door to door to massacre us, I'm going to use that marker, throw it at the Israeli soldiers, even if that is the last thing that I would be able to do. And this is the feeling of everybody. We are helpless. We have nothing to lose.
In the wake of his killing, people from around the world shared this poem, authored by Refaat, translating it into at least dozens of languages in order to share his powerful testimony to the world. That poem reads, "If I must die, you must live to tell my story, to sell my things, to buy a piece of cloth and some strings, so that a child, somewhere in Gaza, while looking heaven in the eye, awaiting his dad who left in a blaze, and bid no one farewell, not even to his flesh, not even to himself, sees the kite, my kite you made, flying up above, and thinks for a moment that an angel is there, bringing back love, if I must die." The mourning of this beloved figure, an outpouring of humanity, was met with a truly repulsive, inhuman response. As justification for the murder of this man, people shared a tweet that Refaat had sent, mocking one of the more absurd claims made about the Hamas atrocities committed on October 7th, the claim that a baby was found burned in the oven. That lie, like many others, has now been debunked by the Israeli outlet Haaretz. In other words, Refaat was right to mock this claim. And of course, that no tweet, no matter how good or bad, should mark someone for assassination should go without saying. But unfortunately, far too many have bought the genocidal perspective that there are no innocent Palestinians. These tweets were enough to convict him as guilty in their minds and justify his death sentence. And make no mistake, Refaat was sentenced to death. He was assassinated by a terrorist government that decided they wanted him dead. That is the conclusion of human rights organization Euromed Monitor. They write, "The Israeli airstrike that killed Professor Refaat Alareer was apparently deliberate." That is the conclusion of Euromed Monitor on Friday. The apartment where Refaat and his family were sheltering was surgically bombed out of the entire building where it's located, according to corroborated eyewitness and family accounts. This came after weeks of death threats that Refaat received online and by phone from Israeli accounts. Now, it is probably too simplistic to say that Refaat was targeted for assassination because of his tweets, even though prominent accounts like Barry Weiss had used those tweets to vilify him not long before the Israeli government did mark him for death. But Refaat was already well known to Israeli authorities, not new to outspoken activism. In fact, this wasn't even the first time Israel tried to kill him. In 2014, they bombed his house. He survived. More than 30 members of his family, however, were killed. The bigger question to me isn't whether Refaat was targeted, he clearly was. It's whether his assassination was part of a larger program targeting intellectuals. Is Israel systematically eliminating peaceful thought leaders, calculating that their very existence and ability to humanize Palestinians and draw attention to the Palestinian cause constitutes a threat to Israel's criminal apartheid regime? After all, every day, the list of doctors, journalists, and aid workers who have been killed grows longer. 76 journalists have already been killed by Israel. That's more than any other conflict in at least 30 years. And at least some of these killings we know now have been intentional. Reuters, AFP, Amnesty International, and Human Rights Watch all assessed that an Israeli attack which killed a Reuters videographer and injured 6 other journalists was in fact a deliberate, targeted attack. Targeting journalists, of course, is a war crime. But it's not just journalists. Declassified UK has tracked an extensive list of Palestinian intellectuals and thought leaders who have all been killed by the Israeli government. Take a listen.
There's a clear pattern that Israel is targeting the best and brightest of Gaza. They are going, as you said, they're going after everyone who might provide a way of living a human life in Gaza. So they're going after lawyers, they're going after medics, they're going after teachers and journalists. Yes, well, one of the most, it's all so horrific, it's beyond words, but Al Jazeera was shut down in Israel, and then the day after, they bombed and killed the family of the Al Jazeera correspondent in Gaza. So that was a statement. It was saying, we will kill your family. They didn't even kill him, they killed his family. So I think this is part of what needs to change is the narrative is that this is not, none of these are mistakes, that they're targeting the best and brightest of Gaza because they want to destroy any remnants of human life in Gaza. They want to make it unable to live. So I just wanted you guys to talk about what you think Israel's goal is.
Well, actually, they also target the peace activists. And it's shocking, even those who call for peace, they're targeting them. For example, they targeted my friend Ahmed Abartima, the founder of the Great March of Return. He is my best friend, and he has always been one of the most vocal voices for the peaceful resistance.
I'm reminded also of what one official told 972 magazine of how Israel is conducting its bombing campaign. Quote, "Nothing happens by accident. When a 3-year-old girl is killed in a home in Gaza, it's because someone in the army decided it wasn't a big deal for her to be killed. It follows then that when a doctor or journalist or scholar is killed, it's because the Israeli government wanted them gone." This targeting makes sense on another level. There may be no state in the world which so clearly understands the power of words and stories, and by extension, those who wield those words and stories, as the state of Israel. How else, after all, do you convince a diaspora of people with different languages and cultures living all over the world that they're actually one people, and that they should get behind what must have seemed a preposterous project at the time to settle and colonize historic Palestine? How else do you provide moral cover for the world superpower to fund and arm you and provide you diplomatic cover, even as you systematically violate international law through illegal settlements, an illegal blockade, and an official policy of apartheid? How do you kill thousands of children and then go on CNN with a straight face and claim you're doing all you can to protect civilians? Oh yeah, the Israeli government understands the power of propaganda, how essential it is, how dangerous those who can pierce their own veil of propaganda really are. They also understand how essential it is that they block any educated moderates who might represent a, quote, partner for peace. Netanyahu, of course, has long sought to thwart the establishment of a Palestinian state by elevating extremists like Hamas. Wouldn't it be convenient to use this moment when the U.S. has officially given you carte blanche to commit any atrocities that you like, to wipe out any alternative Palestinian leadership class? So while Refaat didn't wield a weapon, he was nevertheless armed and dangerous, as are the truly heroic journalists risking their lives to show us these horrors, the doctors who are sacrificing everything to provide the best care and comfort that they possibly can in impossible circumstances. All of these individuals are uniquely dangerous for a simple reason. They force us and the world to reckon with the basic humanity of Palestinians, to sit with what it must be to have been trapped in a prison your whole life, to watch the whole world abandon you, to be subjected to daily indignities and periodic horror. These heroes are vastly more dangerous to the Israeli regime than Hamas, because the instant the world truly recognizes the full humanity of Palestinians is the instant that the Israeli project of dehumanization ends forever.